Democracy is above all a process, and it can have many different outcomes. And the democracies that we value and treasure and celebrate, including the Indian democracy, are not just characterized by the fact that hundreds of millions of people vote despite having low levels of literacy. It's that those democracies embody other values as well. The rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, a proud tradition of national liberation struggle, the defense of individual liberties, for instance. So it's always democracy in combination with something else. Democracy in and of itself, I think, is capable of producing incredibly ugly results because it simply can reflect the mass prejudice of whichever majority is empowered by its process. I don't measure the success or failure of democracy by the level of protest. I would think of that as an integral part of a deep, flourishing democratic culture. I mean, I was on the great demonstrations against the Iraq War in 2003 and still hold that as a cherished memory of a powerful moment at which we didn't get our way. The UK still went to war in Iraq, but millions of people expressed their open opposition to a government which held us in contempt at that moment. And those sorts of things are anchoring for a democratic process. Even if you don't win, you at least make a public statement of what your position was, which then allows you to chain forward from there. So I think all in all, this is something that we should welcome. Really, this is a G4, G5 kind of a deal. It's the EU, China, India, the United States and Japan as a potential fifth party to that deal. And that is the future of climate politics at a global level. Those key actors all need to be brought in. Well, obviously, the issue of climate justice has to be considered, which has been one of India's key contributions to global climate politics. But one of the things that one has to credit Modi's government with is taking responsibility on India's part for its contribution, which needs to be adjusted to India's capacities and its absolute imperative for economic development. But that is the future, I think, is those kind of coalitions. And the Europeans are very seriously working towards trying to build a coalition like that ahead of COP26 at Glasgow in November, which really will decide, I think, the future of global climate politics. There isn't a lot in history that tells us, for instance, about the trajectory of India. I mean, India is such a radical experiment. We've never seen a democracy like it. We've never seen... It's sui generis. In my mind, the search for analogues to understand the Chinas, the Indias, even search for analogues to understand the United States are in a sense beyond... That's, as it were, to read smaller history into a future which is very, very dramatic, gigantic in scale. We can clearly draw lessons from previous experiences about, say, the crucial significance of the independence of the judiciary as a key anchor, or the role of the independent media and the plurality of voices. Those are sort of simple principles, but I wouldn't be looking for any simple historical template. Whatever naivety we may have had about the significance of nationalism in the form that the BJP articulates it, I think has been stripped away. It is clear that this needs to be understood for what it is, namely a type of ethnic nationalism and religiously backed nationalism that in the Indian context has explosive implications.